I think I'm in. I think I'm in the picture. Anyhow, I'm out here at my buddy Virgil's farm. He's got a 5-acre patch by his house. He's out there. You can probably hear it in the background mowing the yard. It's gotten pretty tall. But anyway, I was thinking about something. I was talking to a fellow on the bladesandbushlore.com forum. His name is Off Trail, OT. And he was talking about trying to figure out a way of doing a Egyptian bow drill using just a knife only, not using any saw, just in case you were out, got survival situation where you wanted to make a fire and you needed to use something like a bow drill or something. But we were talking about the Egyptian fire drill and how difficult it might be to actually make one. And I said I thought I had a pretty good concept or two on a way to do it. And so that's what I'm going to be trying to do here. I'm going to have to do this in segments because I'm by myself. I was going to have Virgil help me, but he's mowing the lawn. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to show you in segments of the parts and the different ways that I came up with on how to do this. I don't know if this has been done before. I don't remember ever seeing anybody do this before, but I thought it was an interesting challenge. So I'm going to give it a shot and we'll see what comes up. I've got some old dead wood here. It looks like an old elm, but I'm going to try just using that wood right now for the main part of the counterweight or the flywheel part of the bow drill, because it's handy. It's right here. Normally I'd probably choose something like willow or cottonwood or something a little easier to do a bow drill with, but I'm going to show what I would use and how I would make the counterweight. I'm going to try to show using a spindle using mullein or mullein, which is an excellent hand bow drill material. And then I'm also going to show how you can change the tips from one way to the other, and I'm going to show you some ways on how to do that, making the spindle that the cordage is on and the spindle part that makes the coal. In other words, it's like an adjustable, changeable bit, I guess would be the best way to describe it. But it will be a lot easier to understand the concept once I show it to you. So I'm going to stop the camera now, and I'll try to reposition and see if I can show how I make the counterweight, the flywheel part of the Egyptian bow drill. First thing I'm going to do is make this flywheel. I had to go bust me off a baton. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do this flywheel out of this chunk of wood here. It's probably, I'm going to say, about 4.5 inches in diameter, about the same as the knife. And I'm just going to let you watch what I do rather than talking while I'm doing this, and then I'll show you what I'm doing as I go. It'll be a lot easier, I think. Got away, Duke. I forgot to turn my cell phone off. You're hearing my dog bark. Tells me they're leaving a message. Now what I've done, I'm going to look in the camera and see if it shows it up very well. What I've done is I've made a notch right here I don't know if that's, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit, maybe that'll help. See if I can do that from here. Okay. There, I made a notch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now do the same thing a little ways away, about 6 inches I suppose, if I can get this camera to stay steady. See if I can get it to hold here. Sorry about the delay, but like I said, I'm by myself, so I'm trying to do this. Hopefully that'll stay there. Oh, she's dropping on me. Alright, I'll give that a try. If it nothing else, I'll do it, then I'll show you the result of what I did. So I'll do. So basically I'm going to come over about 6 inches or so, and I'm going to do the same thing. Alright, basically what I've done is I've made my my flyweight, and right before I take this thing off, right in the center of that, and eyeball that, I'm just going to start my hole that I was going to use to run the shaft of the spindle through. Since it's easy, it's right here on the tree. I'll get it started. I don't want to make it too big yet because I don't know how big my spindle is going to be yet, but I want to get it started. Now this may be a fail and I might have to redo this. It depends on whether I can get deep enough with my blade to break this out. It looks like I'm going to have to go a little deeper. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll show you the end result once I get to it, rather than wasting time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive this down so I can get my blade in more flat and then wrap on it, and I'm going to shave that chunk off. So I'm going to take the camera and shut it off for now, and I'll finish this up and I'll show you what I do after that. Alright, well, I'm going to move the camera for a minute so you guys can see what I've been doing here. Alright, there's the notch cut on the first one I started cutting. Made that one deeper, and here's the other one. Okay, the reason why I made that deeper is so I can get the knife blade down. There's the divot hole in the middle, but so I can get the knife blade down enough to get a good whack on it. And I'm going to shave that chunk. I'm going to try to bring this thing right off, right like that. I might have to take a little more out, but I want to get it started, because if it splits, I'm just going to move on and go to a different spot. So that's what I'm going to do now. And so I'll reset the camera, and we'll see if I can get that done. Oh. Alright. I got this. It's like one of these goofy three-legged tripod. They can move them around and stuff, but I've never used one of these. This is the first time I ever used it, so I'm trying to figure it out. Figure out how I can get this thing to work. Alright, let's see if that does it. I'll zoom in a little bit. Oh, looks like I gotta drop it down some. Alright. Oh, I don't know if that's going to stay there or not. Does it want to stay there? I'll turn this and drop it down. Maybe. Sure would have been nice to have a help, but gotta do what you gotta do. Alright. It's not quite in the center, but we'll see if that'll work. Get my little baton here. Alright. Have to make a wooden shim or something. My knife ain't that long. It's trying to split. I don't want that. My knife hitting the knife. Looks like I'm getting there, but I think I'm going to have to take out some more. I'm going to take out some more, I'll come back. Yeah, there, Duke. Alright, I've made it significantly wider. I'm trying to figure out a good way here. I'll just show you what I'm talking about. You can see that the knife blade is in there deeper. I've made it wider. I took some more out here and some more out here, so I can get the knife blade down to a more parallel shot at that chunk for the flywheel. Now I'll try to put us back in here and see if I can get us where you can see what I'm doing again. Alright, now I'll zoom it in a little bit here. See if I can get that done. Alright, watch out, Duke. Good boy. And basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take a section off like this. You've probably figured that out by now. But I got to figure out a way of getting the knife in there and be able to hit on it at the same time. I don't want the thing to split if I can help it. And I'm also trying not to get my knife stuck. I guess I could jump from back one side of it or the other, but I thought it was very nice to have it right up here where I can work on it rather than bending over and kneeling down. She's trying to check up, and I'm trying to prevent that. I'm going to try to give it some help. She's still trying to check up on me. I don't want it to snap. So I'm going to work with it. Now granted, if somebody was making a bow drill, they probably had most of the parts made by now, but that wouldn't be any fun to try this challenge. Oh, whoop, she's cracking up. She's cracking up high, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. I think I can still make it work. Yep, I can still make it work. Okay, see, and now that's what I got. And you understand the principle. I can see why this was better wood. This is a more wormy wood on this side, but I had to shift my divot over a little bit. But there's my chunk. There's the knife. I think it's 4 1/2 or something here, and the handle's a little bit longer, 4 3/4 or whatever. I don't remember now, but this is a MLL blade. Mario made this for me, a custom-made knife. I like this style. But anyway, so there's my flywheel, and all I'll do is I'll just shift my hole over just a little bit. All right, and I can keep drilling on this. What I want to do is I want to come through on the other side. So I go roughly on the other side and do the same thing. Here, I'll move it over here. You can see better. It's flat too. Of course, you got to be careful you don't cut yourself. But now you understand what I'm doing, so I'm going to stop now, shut the camera off, and then I'll finish making the hole, get the hole started. And there we go. Alright, now I can see that I'm almost through it. You know, it didn't take me very long, but I didn't want to keep burning the camera up just to show you guys me drilling this hole out. But anyway, once I can see light through it, and maybe push a twig through it, not quite there yet. Now, of course, a person can burn their way through it with the hand drill too. There we go. Now the twig is coming through. Of course, I'm going to have to make the hole bigger. I just don't want to make it too big. But there's a hole in my flywheel. And basically the idea, let me see here if I can find a small twig here to use. Basically, the idea now would be to find a spindle, let's say a mullein stalk or whatever, and stick it through that hole. Well, my stick just broke, but you'll get the idea. Stick it through, and this would be the part that I would use to start the coal, and this would be the part that's going to be the drill. And as you can see, there's the flyweight. I'm not turning it now, I'm just letting it spin. And that's what would be making it go back and forth. Go back one way and then go the other way when you're going up and down. and you spin and you spin and you spin and you spin. So there's the flywheel part. Now all I have to do is now I'll find the spindle part. I got to get some cordage, and I didn't bring that out there with me. I'm only 100 yards from my truck, but there's my flywheel, or flyweight, or counterweight, or whatever you want to call it. And all it was a section taken out of a log, and it was all done with a knife. I could have probably done this with a folder, but I don't think it would be very strong, and it probably would cause me issues. So that's why I'm a full tang and fixed blade knife guy. But I also carry this wonderful gift I got from a buddy of mine named Mike, or Wildebeest, on bladesandbushlore.com, and got that in a pass-around box. But I'm not going to try to use that on something like this. That's why I'm a firm believer in fixed blade knife and having another knife to carry around for small little stuff. But alright, I'm going to stop there. I know it's been long enough, and I'll decide whether I'm going to show more in this video today, or I'll do some more later, or what. But now you've got the principle and the idea of the counterweight part and the spindle part. And I'll show you the mullein stalk, and I'll show you the two-piece spindle setup with bit and spindle. After a while, I gotta go look for the pieces I need, and I'd just as soon, if I'm gonna do this, I'd like to see if I can get a coal going. So I'm gonna go where I can get a better different. I mean, this elm might work, but I just soon pick a different wood. There's a linden or basswood tree right over there, but I'm gonna go see if there's anything dead on it. It's a really big tree, but I don't know if there's anything dead that I can get at. So anyway, there we go. I'm gonna turn it off now and see what happens next. All right. I've debarked this spindle, and I put roughly a burning end on my spindle here. And what I'm going to do next, and this is what I'm going to try to explain this, and I don't know if this is going to be in the camera, so I'm going to stand on this side and try to show what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to cut with a baton. I'm going to take and I'm going to cut that through at an angle like that. So what happens is that I'm going to have a wedge on the spindle end, and I'm going to have a wedge on the burning end of the spindle, and a wedge on this end, so that when I go up through and bring the counterweight down, when it comes down to where those two pieces angle into each other, it comes down and it pinches them and wedges them tight. So when I'm turning the spindle, it's the wedge itself. The wedge itself is trapped inside the counterweight. So you got a piece in here and a piece coming down. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm just telling you what the next process would be for this type. So I would be cutting an angle, a steep angle in it, bringing it down from the top, bringing it up through. Either way, it doesn't make any difference. I would probably put it round side down so that any wind would go, like a propeller would go up way. But come down and it pinches the two pieces together. So when you're spinning this, it won't come apart, but you can still add the pressure because it's locked in to the counterweight or the flywheel. That's just one way of doing it. I'm going to show you another way real quick, just with a twig. That there's another way of doing that without being a two-piece. So I'm going to set this down. If I don't put it up high, Duke will run off with it. So I'll come back in a minute and I'll show you just a different style that would work. Alright, now here's just a little spindle stick, and I just put a little burning end cut on the bottom of it. And I left a little bit of segment of the shaft. And what I'm going to do, because this way I can adjust the shaft to the hole in the drill. So all I have to do is just shave this down, keep shaving it down until it's going to fit through the hole. But the diameter of this, I know you can't see what I'm doing, but all I'm doing is I'm just taking off the. I can stand over here, I guess. But basically, all I'm doing is I'm going to narrow down this part. Just chamfer it down or bevel it, and then make the shaft itself thinner. I'm running into some knots here. And then once I was taking the time, I'm not going to use this piece, but I'm just going to try to use it for demonstration purposes. Sit here and have you guys watch me whittle on a stick. It's kind of silly, wasting my time. But anyway, once you've done that, then once you whittled it down to the size of your hole, you can slide this down, and when it gets down to here, the chamfer, I don't know if I'm in that film or not, there we go. The chamfer that's in here will come down and lock into that, and that will sit there on top of your flywheel. So then when you spin it up here, it's spinning it down here, and this is spinning, it's locking it in. It's locking it in, sliding it down, and when it comes down here, because the diameter gets bigger than that hole, it will kind of pinch down. You can tap on it a few times and lock it in. And then you can spin your shaft, and the flywheel will still do its job. Alright, that's another way of doing it. And then the mullein shaft, doing it with the mullein way, you would have less of a chance to do that, because the mullein is actually kind of, I'm going to use the word brittle. You can snap it really easy, and I don't know that it would work as good. I haven't tried it. Like I said, I haven't tried this before. It's a challenge. But anyway, so there's the first way I showed you, was where you could cut the piece. The second way now is just making the diameter of your spindle smaller than the diameter down here where the hearth board would be, and that just slide this down. All right, and later on I'll find a chunk of mullein. So I'm in a woods where I don't see a lot of it, so I'll have to go search for some of that. And it might be on a different day or a different time. But so far you've got the idea. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. So I don't know. I probably already burned up a half an hour of this crap. But anyway, I'll try to edit it down and make it easier for you guys. But anyway, there's part of the challenge, and I'll keep moving on.